Thank you so much for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 179, Bits and Pieces. I talk to people sometimes and they say, I just want this to hurry up and be over. I just want to get better at this. I just want this to happen. Let me tell you something. When I was a little girl, I just wanted to be big. I cannot tell you how many times I said that to my mother. I just want to be big. I just want to be bigger. I just want to grow up. And it still took me 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. It took me the regular 18 years to grow up. In our world today, that's really challenging. Let's be truthful. You can pop dinner in the microwave and it's ready in 2 minutes flat. You can drive through at McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King or Chick-fil-A or Popeyes or Bojangles, and honey, you got dinner in 5 minutes and you go home and you eat. You can watch TV anytime you want. You got so many remote controls, and you turn on the DVR and record the TV show you want, and you get to watch it at 3 in the morning on Saturday. The entire world basically is right at our fingertips. And much of it happens like that. And we're really impatient when it doesn't. If we have to wait 5 or 10 minutes over what we thought was a reasonable amount of time, we're already frustrated and impatient and sometimes nasty and and if you think that attitude hasn't infected and affected our children in the world today, you are kidding yourself. And yet, still takes the same 18 years to grow up. The reason I'm sharing this attitude with you, and we're doing this conversation today, is this. When you want to nurture a realistic world view in your children, they have to understand that things are only going to happen by bits and pieces. I'm going to give you a couple of really vivid illustrations that might help you understand this. When I sit down to create an amigurumi, which is what this little guy is, I have to think about the kind of yarn that I'm going to use and the kind of eyes I'm going to use, both size and shape and color, and whether or not I'm going to use something different from the nose, because this is actually made with an entirely different kind of thread. I made a change in the arms because they were just long, ugly, plain old, boring arms, and I made a change about that. I also gave this snowman a little more shaping than was in the pattern. But you know what? Every single individual stitch has to be formed with the hook as it pulls the thread through, and there's no rushing the process. So we're talking 6 or 7 hours worth of work, one little bitty stitch at a time. Then I have to consider, what am I going to do? What's going to come next in terms of what he's going to wear? So I make him a little hat. And this little hat, I have to make decisions about what colors of thread am I going to use. Is it going to be a loose, slouchy hat? Is it going to be a hat that fits? And I also have to make decisions about things like this little pom-pom that occurs here at the top of this hat. How big, how fat, how fluffy, what color? Am I going to put gray into this burgundy? How am I going to do it? How much of a cuff is going to happen on this hat? And then he ends up with his little hat. And I still don't like how he looks. So even though I just spent an hour on a little hat for this snowman, I'm not happy yet. And then I have to make another decision. And I decide that I'm going to make him a little vest. And I'm going to use a variegated part of yarn in the base and the same burgundy color as his hat in the top. And I take another hour, because I'm designing it, I don't have a pattern, to come up with Sanford's vest that he's going to wear. And you understand, this is just a child's plaything. So imagine in your own child's life that day after day you are taking little stitches, or in our illustration of Paint a Beautiful Picture, you are painting various brush strokes across your child's life, but it is only being built or put together bit by bit. You need to help your child understand life is like that. It is done in bits and pieces. And you know as a parent that they are also put together by bits and pieces. You are not just going to develop or establish an astounding relationship with your child in a month. Okay, I've been watching Miss Violet for a month now. Now I'm a good parent. No joke. In establishing a realistic perspective on life, it is going to take years to develop that kind of a relationship with your child. It's probably going to take you years to develop as a parent. I think that. That's why we're on a 3-year plan here together on Paint a Beautiful Picture. It's going to take your child 18 years to grow up. Let's be truthful. Some people don't grow up till they're 23 or 27. But you're going to have those 18 concerted years with your child in the process of their growing up. There are lots of bits and pieces. I want to show you another illustration because I think that sometimes we look at someone else's life and go, oh yeah, they're like this, but I'm like this. I'm not the same as them. And it's true. None of us are. We are all individuals. And yet there are commonalities that flow through our lives that we just have to recognize. This really is life. This is life experience. But in case you don't grasp the idea about Sanford, let me help you in another way. Another kind of hand art that I love to do is hand applique. All right, this is what it looks like. In this piece, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 different green fabrics, but the same orange fabric. But they're cut out, the design elements are cut out from different portions of the fabric. In your lifetime, you will have different things that happen, different kinds of events that will form a picture in your mind and your children's about who you are and how life works. That's why this is a good way to see it. All the butterflies are exactly the same. This is what I want you to know. Every bit of this work is done by hand with a needle and a thread. Someone asked me one time, how long does this take? What I want you to understand is it takes hours and hours and hours. And when I teach it, I always teach my applique students, you only get to do 1 stitch at a time. Don't anticipate way around the curve. Just work on the stitch you're on right this minute. And that's how you get very smooth, consistent edges. You have to be where you are. Let me tell you, that's equally true in life. Oftentimes we're anticipating what comes next. Kids constantly are. They're looking for the next holiday. They're looking for the next birthday. They're looking for the next big event. Kind of is how we're wired. As adults, we have to appreciate the daily events and the daily joys and the daily celebrations. It really helps us to help our kids appreciate that. So in this one, you'll notice so much consistency. All 4 petals are the same pink. All 4 petals are the same blue fabric. All 4 hearts are the same. It's a lot more consistent. So when you have a quilt and you have ones that are calmer and ones that are busier, it's really helpful for the eye. And it's good for you in your creative process. I'm going to show you a couple more. This guy here has 4 different light blue hearts, but all the dark blue hearts are consistent. There are reasons why you do things when you're using color. Let me tell you, there is a reason why you do things when you're teaching your child. This one has real consistency going on just because of the brightness and the vibrancy of the butterflies. You want them to be what shows up. So if you had too much happening in the hearts around it, you would lose the visible value of the butterflies. But let me tell you, you can't see it from here, so we're going to give you some close-ups. These butterflies were a rascal to sew down because I needed to sew them down with black thread on black fabric, and they have so much detail. It's a rascal to do. Do you know there are going to be parts of your life going to be a lot more complex and a lot more difficult than other parts of your life? You need to know that. And again, you need to recognize that in those difficult times, this is just a piece of life. This isn't my whole life. This isn't what it's all going to be like. This is just this little bit right here that I have to get through. And though it is difficult, and though I'm feeling challenged and frustrated, it is in fact manageable. When you start to approach life with this understanding that there are going to be bits that are very exciting, and there are going to be bits that are going to be lose your mind frustrating. There are going to be bits that are really joyful, and there are going to be bits that are going to be very sad and very sorrowful. And they are all part of the whole picture of a life. You need to know as a parent, this is a long, challenging, rewarding job, this parenting thing. And you need to help your children to understand. You need to nurture in them the concept that life is a whole lot of little bits and pieces. And you have to find and take what there is in each moment. My great hope for you is that you yourself can develop the attitude no matter what happens, no matter how tough today is, no matter how amazing today is, no matter how mundane, ho-hum, okay, like a day today is. This day of life, I am actually going to live and take out of this life what I can get, and I'm going to give into this life what I have to give, and I'm going to find the beauty, and I'm going to find the joy in this day right here. Don't be waiting for someday when you have a better job, someday when you get married, someday when your kids grow up and it's not so crazy, someday when you have a bigger house, someday. No. Live this very day today. This is the day you've got. And do your best to pass this attitude on to your child, to your children. This is the day we've got, okay? Find small celebratory moments, even in the hardest day, whether that's a butterfly that flits across in the neighborhood and you go, look at the butterfly, it's absolutely beautiful. Whether that's a strange, crazy moment, you see someone in Walmart. I'll never forget this guy in I'm telling the truth to you, a guy in high heels with these spandex things on him, like Spanx, with straps over the shoulder and pink hair. Whoa! I couldn't help it. It was hilarious. I did laugh out loud, and I laughed out loud about it later when I got home. That what was this dude thinking that he's walking through Walmart like this? I don't know what his trip was, but okay, whatever. Yeah, find brief moments of hilarity or joy or beauty, even in the toughest days, because I promise you that they are there. My challenge question for you today is, am I always in a hurry? Do I always want it to be someday? Am I so dissatisfied with where I am and what I have and the way things are that I struggle to live this very day? Because I really want to encourage you. Enjoy the day. Live the day you've got. Face the challenges that are there and recognize this isn't how it's always going to be. Oh, and really enjoy the days that are normal, because that won't always be the case. And especially enjoy the days that are amazing, because they don't come all the time. But live the day you've got. Recognize that life is composed of lots of little bits and pieces, and all you get to take is one breath, one step, one day at a time. I hope that you just enjoy your day with your child today. It's been great having you with me on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.